Hey, this is Ian with racingcards.com, a F1 card collecting community. If you want to buy, sell, trade cards, and honestly just learn about F1 racing cards. I'm really excited to have Buffi on this call. Just a tier one F1 card breaker, which is awesome, but just like awesome insights that Buffi's posting on YouTube. So I thought it'd be worthwhile just to jump on a quick video chat with him and talk about F1. And so maybe a lead-in question here, Buffi, is, these latest vintage of F1 cards came out in, April of this past year. What got you into F1 and what got you into F1 cards?
Dumb luck, to be honest. It's one of the most fortunate things I think that's ever happened to me. I just had a couple customers that had said, hey, there's F1 cards coming out. Can you get some and run a break? And I was like, I don't know anything about F1, but yeah, I'm always down to do whatever you guys ask for. And we went through the process of having the product delayed months and months and months and months. And, we wound up finally getting Dynasty in, we opened Dynasty at $2,500 a case. We opened a couple of them. And we were like, oh, this is, wow. I know, right? We're like, this is wild. This is crazy. All these cards were good. I was pronouncing everyone's names wrong. But I was doing the best that I can. I remember Daniel Ricciardo and Charles Leclerc. It was an embarrassment. And then we did Chrome after that. And I stopped and I asked him, I said, guys, I know I sound like a dope right now. You have to help me. What can I do to learn what I'm talking about? And they said, oh, there's this thing called Drive to Survive. And obviously I blew through the entire show in a week and a half. And from there, I'm just drilling Max Verstappen buy it now is on eBay and very quickly down the rabbit hole, my friend. So,
yeah. I'm similar. I grew up collecting cards, mostly baseball, basketball, a little bit of football. And then, I was in the junk wax era of the 80s, the 90s. So not a lot of value, some Kobe rookies, and stuff, but for the most part,
memories.
Thousands of cards. Yeah. I was able to look through them and, I thought they were great, and then, my wife and I got into Drive to Survive and I was like, God, did they have cards? And then, so I found them over the summer. So I was a few months late. And at that point, my life
still early enough in the summer.
Yeah. And I spoke to my local card shop great shop in the Pacific Northwest. And they're like, look, we have no product. It's hard to find. And they even recall days when people bought cases, to your point, on the cheap, where a guy came in and ripped six cases straight, in their retail shop and just had, stacks of cards. But nobody knew, when I say the gold, there might be some, change in terms of what happens in the future. But the upside of those cards, especially for anybody that got in early, was just massive.
I mean, it was almost there's times in this hobby, right, where something's wrong, things don't add up properly. And I've never seen it. And, I invested a lot of my own money into this because I've never seen it to the point where, we knew how limited of a print run Sapphire was, and boxes were only about $600, but the Lewis Hamilton portrait #1 was selling for close to $1,000. And the Max was selling for, $300. And then you still had Lando and Leclerc and all these other guys. But, those cards are 1 in 6 boxes for any individual single. Yep. So to, mathematically, to just hunt down that one base card at almost $1,000 a pop raw from a $600 box at, a 15.5% chance or a 17%, whatever it winds up being, it was almost a no-brainer because you had all the parallels mixed in there too, and so much other value adding up that, there was no product that delivered that kind of value. And you could see right away the demand for the Hamiltons and the Maxes and some of the other guys right out the gate, that you knew that not even anyone knew about this product yet. And these cards were already $1,000. Obviously the market evolved a little bit to kind of gravitate towards some different items that are now, the variations and the numbered cards and stuff like that. But to see the box price, how easy it was to hit the base card and the price of the base card, it was kind of like a, wait a minute, what am I missing here type moment. And if you did enough research, if you look around for a little bit, you realize that you weren't missing anything. It was everyone else that was missing something. So yeah. It was the Wild West. A lot of me and my other guys that were in early on, we reminisce about the good old days. So,
well, even so the good old days of being able to find product, at a fourth of where the product's at now, right? Mm-hmm. But also just finding deals even on single cards, right?
Tough.
It's shocking. I've been at multiple local shows, card shows, and my whole table is just F1, and I've got a
Yep.
decent collection of it. And other dealers come by and they're scratching their heads going, we know it's hot. We know that there's some real like dollars happening here, but we just don't get it, yet. And I think that's why like education is so important, because there's a lot, it's expensive to get into F1 right now in the 2020 product. They'll change, going into this next year. But for those few that got in early, man, I mean, it's quite the upside.
Life-changing is the word that I would use if you bought the right stuff early on. So, but yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It's hard to find the right items. I mean, because they're so limited. The print runs total between, if you're looking just for the best of the best stuff, the portraits, I mean, they're so low. There's almost nothing out there. You're looking less than, between like all the parallels, I think the math added up to like 16 or 18,000 total cards, like total between every parallel, and like almost 1,100 of that is the Chrome base. So when you think about it, like in terms of other sports, that's nothing. That is a drop in a bucket. It is literally almost, it's the shortest printed, like mass produced, if we want to call it that, like mainstream set that we've ever had in like 6, 7, probably 8 years across major sports. We're in like 2008 level, 2008 like levels of production with this stuff. So
that's what I was going to ask you. It's like, was there anything that you would compare it to? Like, there's been some hotly debated, and clearly it's not there, but like people start to look at basketball and like Fleer of like 86. Like, it's not that, right? Like, we don't have the Jordan.
No.
But like in terms of F1, this will be the iconic, I think, this 2020 like vintage of Sapphire and Chrome product.
I know what it is.
There wasn't much, low print runs, and it's like the first big cards, let alone like true rookies of some of the future stars there.
It's 12-13 Prism basketball. So it's one of those things where LeBron, it's not a LeBron rookie, it's not a Durant rookie, but it's the first year Prism. So even though it's like a 10th year, 8th year, 5th year, whatever, it kind of, the set is what brings 12-13 Prism basketball up, right? And that's what's going to happen with F1. Is it Lewis Hamilton's rookie? No, we know he's got a whole bunch of Sports Illustrated for Kids and Futeras and all these other stickers and whatnot. And same thing, even Verstappen's got top trumps. He's got a couple years of that in multiple languages. All these guys have stuff, right? Outside of the couple that they're actually rookies. You got a small handful of those guys where it's actually their first appearance. But that's not what it's about. Those offshoot brands, even dating back to Babe Ruth's rookie card. Most people, there's a Sporting News Baltimore card that's Babe Ruth's like true rookie card, and it sells for a butt ton. But when people think of Babe Ruth's rookie, they don't want that. They want one of the more mainstream ones. They want like a Gowdy. They want something like that, like a brand that people know and recognize. And it's going to be no different here. Like, if you have one of those 06 Futera Hamiltons, God bless you. You're the man for finding one of those and being able to afford it. But 99.9% of people are going to want this year because this is the brand that they associate with it, and it's their first like true like sports card mainstream produced item. Topps is a different level of production than Futera or Sports Illustrated for Kids, so that definitely holds weight in the conversation, and that's kind of where I see it going.
We went straight out of the gate with Chrome and Sapphire, then like your typical Topps paper just added the extra excitement, I think, on the release, and just the value on it. Now, hey, I want to ask you a question on, you posted an awesome video, a flying lap. We just kind of went through the math, if you will. And the math's been a little bit hard for people to figure out on print runs, especially as you get into some of the cards that are, low in print, but not numbered. And so I'm curious, as you went through that exercise, the effectively Excel spreadsheet that you went through, what were some
all
of
I know how to do?
Yeah. What were some of the interesting findings for you?
So the first thing was, and this is something that's been reinforced throughout many, many times, that the math is never perfect. The math never adds up because, there's stuff that gets held back for replacements, and there's, obviously like drivers, like F1's the perfect example where, there were people that were supposed to be in the autograph set that weren't in the autograph set. We're missing some F2 drivers. We're missing some principals. We got people without autographs. So the fun thing is with doing the math is like, you get to like work around, like trying to figure out like, well, what are they actually including in these numbers? So, and it kind of made it an interesting exercise, but some of the surprising findings just from doing the research mathematically were the print runs on the 70th. I don't think people were paying enough attention to those cards.
Yep.
especially the red having a lower print run than the serial numbered reds, and even the orange numbered to 70. I mean, the orange numbered to 70, those cards weren't coming anywhere close. The gold parallels that were actually numbered to 50, despite the print run being, off by only 20 cards or so.
Yep.
The purples to 399 are another crazy one. People pay a lot of money for the purples, but kind of neglect the gold 70s with a print run to 110 in a much popular color, or a 115, I think, are the golds. But so there were a lot of unique things there. The other one that really came to mind was, again, people just like really sleeping on the sapphire image variations. Paying more for chrome silver refractors of the portraits than sapphire image variations, when again
That's
the print
interesting.
run is print run's about half. And on top of that, if you want a specific variation, if you just look at the photo, right, forget about what color, whatever it might be, if you just want to have one of the cards where Hamilton or anyone sitting down there in one of the variations, I mean, the total print run on those is like, what is it, 1/10 overall of the
Wow.
cards produced, but yet people are just ignoring them for the sapphire image variation. It's still the case now. I mean, that's one of the things that I've been trying to pick up, and I don't even care who the drivers are at this point. I'm like buying Botas, Ocon. I don't care, just because
Yeah.
the whole set is very undervalued. And it's funny because the chrome versions are wildly overvalued. I mean, they're starting to come back down to earth, but people look at those and say, oh, there's only 300. There's no variations. There's no parallels. There's only like what was it, like 700 total in sapphire, but
Yeah.
the sapphire Hamilton base is $1,000 card raw, and we had a point where the chrome one reached 15,000, all over
Totally.
300 copies. It
Which
doesn't
is
make
crazy,
sense.
right?
Yeah, doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of the market's still developing itself for F1, which is the point. But there's a lot of things that you can look into if you can say like, okay, like not everything comes down to mathematical logic. Like just because there's 2 times as many doesn't mean it's twice as valuable and so on. But when you like put all the things together and you look at it as a whole, and you have like all these like positive things for one card, and you're like, why is this other one worth 10 times as much? I don't get it. It's usually a buying opportunity. So.
I think it's a buy-in opportunity, and what you did in that video is a educational opportunity for people to really understand, right, where the values is. Because like to play on the 70th one, like a few cards that I'll show right now. So we have like an Aqua Hamilton. Now these are all raw, right? So they're going to be sent in for grading. But this is numbered to 99. We have a purple Hamilton, which is numbered to 399. And then we have 2 of these orange 70ths. Now, the orange 70th right now is like 25% value of those other 2 cards if you just go by eBay auction. But yet this has lower print, on it. It's just not numbered.
It's crazy. I mean, I get it, the stamp, whatever. Like, I get it's maybe not as aesthetically pleasing. Orange isn't the most beautiful color to mix with the Mercedes, whatever. But it's not a fourth of the value. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
no, yeah, you're right. But also what's interesting about the 70th, just to play on that too, is any of these number cards, they're grading tough, right? With all the print issues that happen. The 70ths, you can actually start to get, into a 10. Now, what makes this whole set, whether it's chrome or sapphire, I think that much more interesting is not just the lower print count, but also the quality. It's going to be really hard for collectors now and in the future to find 10s, if not even 9s in PSA on these number cards.
Yeah. I mean, you're 100% correct. And, it's even gotten to the point where, we went through a bit of a scandal with grading cards in the past, 24 months with trimming and stuff like that. And, having opened so many of this product and then some of the soccer products that were, also affected by the same printing company with the same damage. I tell people, man, at this point, I'm not buying the grade. I'm buying the card, because the 10s that are out there, there's always the potential. You got to know people are still going to be, when there's this much money involved, there's still going to be people out there that might be doing the wrong thing and doing something to alter those cards. And I've seen plenty of 10s that are just misgraded. The damage is there, and it's just whoop, like SGC doesn't even pay attention to it. It's like it's not even there on the card. So there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, we can go for hours on just the grading side of things alone about all the intricacies there. So it's kind of one of those things. Like, are people going to pay for 10s down the road, or are people just going to say, you know what, it's going to be like the Mickey Mantle, where it's like
Yeah.
buy the card. You know, the Mickey Mantle
Yeah.
rookie, the 52. I'll take it whatever grade and I'll be happy.
Yeah,
because there's so
that's
few.
a good point. So we talked about like sleepers in the print runs, for example, the image variations, the 70ths and stuff. What about sleepers in the drivers? Now, know that you, like me, got into this in the last year and a half. We're fortunate to jump in early. But what I like, at least what I think I know about F1, is it can start to be a little bit predictable of F2 going into F1. You can start to buy ahead. So I bought ahead on Zhao, like back in the summer, just hoarded gold autos, and stuff, thinking that he would get the F1 seat. But even of like F1 drivers, there's some hidden gems, I think, in there. So if you were to say, look, who from a driver perspective you think is undervalued, that with the next season of Drive to Survive, the new rule regulations coming in, and just the drivers, like just overall capabilities of being a rock star, who do you think, might kind of is undervalued that can achieve more in the next 6 months from a driver card perspective?
So it's an interesting question because with there being so few F1 drivers, I mean, we have 20 guys, right? And a lot of these guys stick around for quite some time. I mean, the bottom half of the people that have the turnover, they're really, not going to be people that are going to ever be in this conversation to begin with. So you're really looking at at any given time, like the top, 6 to 10, 12 guys on the grid. And because there's so few drivers and so many collectors, you really don't see a ton of opportunity. Everyone flocks to like, oh, who's the youngest driver on a team whose car isn't terrible? And that's why you got people throwing tons of money at Leclerc, tons of money at Lando. And for me, the worst investment out there, people throwing tons of money at George Russell. I don't understand what's going on where a George Russell auto is the same price as a Max Verstappen. He's going to be the second best driver on his team, and there's no question about it. Until Lewis Hamilton retires. So how long do we have to wait for George Russell to finally, become the best driver on his own team? Is it a year? Is it going to be 5 years? How long does Lewis Hamilton want to drive for? So very risky investment on him. But on the opposite side, I think you have a ton of upside on the older drivers. The people who say these guys have no future left. Number one is Vettel. It's not even close. It's an embarrassment how cheap his stuff is. You're talking his orange auto can be had for the same price as Carlos Sainz. And you have the third most winningest driver of all time, 4 championships, with a guy who has, I think, like 6 career podiums.
Yep.
So I get it's what have you done for me lately and all and like that. But there's going to come a point in time, because we see it in every single sport. There's going to come a point in time where there's just not enough to go around for these young guys. And the production's not going to be there on track because F1 isn't always about, are you a good driver? It's, do you have a good car? There's going to be the best drivers out there. Like even look, Vettel's again a perfect example. In the Aston Martin last year, he had no chance ever. Like scoring a point, it was like, do 13 cartwheels in the street and like drown yourself in champagne for them. But so it's a really intricate investment sport, I guess. But I still think Kimi's undervalued. And again, if you go back to the video I did with all the math and stuff like that, both of those guys, they're 2 of the hardest autographs to get in all of 2020 products. It doesn't matter what set you're talking about. Fernando Alonso is going to be a hot one.
I agree. So Alonso, like in this next year, I mean, like to have he has some Futera cards, right? Like his rookie.
Yeah, again. Yeah.
But in these, the tops that will be released this month, getting his auto, getting his cards, that's going to be a big find. But going back to your Leclerc and your Vettel, like when people are buying into breaks, Ferrari is a pretty awesome deal, because in that last vintage of cards, you get the opportunity for, to your point, a 4-time world champion and one of the best like young drivers that has won. Whereas Lando and Russell, like they're not quite there yet. And one could argue, cars with Williams and stuff. And, Leclerc had a lot of opportunity with Ferrari, but like he's a winner. Like,
I mean, granted, his wins were a little bit weird with whatever was going on with their engine, but it's not like F1 isn't plagued by this stuff like every single year in some way, whatever. But yeah, Ferrari's my number one spot when I tell people, like, when I do my breaks, I keep things in line with the market with everyone else. And I tell everyone Ferrari's my favorite spot. Like you have 2 guys that both have extreme potential to go up in value. McLaren's the same way. Now it was a little bit better before Sainz had such an awesome year because I thought Sainz was a pretty good driver. And, he followed that up this year by showcasing that again now at Ferrari, which Ferrari, the most collectible team out there. On top of that, just kind of adds more to the Sainz fire. But yeah, I love both of those teams because they are. I mean, Sainz isn't the youngest. I think Sainz turns 27 this year.
Yeah.
But you have Leclerc, young and fast. You have Lando, young and fast. Both of those cars can make a step this year. We're gonna, hopefully we'll see another team challenge from the midfield to get into that top three and give us a little bit more competitive racing this year. But both of those guys are young enough. They're talented enough. They're likable. They check all the boxes. The last box is unfortunately the hardest box, which is winning.
Yeah.
But I happen to agree with you though on Ferrari. I love the Ferrari spot for 2020. Vettel's a dream.
Oh, it's a great spot. And also the undervalued spot, I think, on a lot of the breaks is also the F2 spot. Just given, especially in Chrome, the amount of autographs that are there. And granted, you're going to get a lot of cards that will not, drive value in the future. But, the Schumacher, I think, is overvalued right now. But, Schumacher's a good hit there. The Sonoda's actually, I think, a good hit. He closed out the season strong.
And AlphaTauri car's good.
He's very racy. So AlphaTauri. And then, Mazepin's in it, but there's value in the F2 spot. Especially if you can get multi-box breaks in Chrome, like there's value there. Sapphire's a little bit harder on the F2 hit, but there's some value add. So here's what I would like to do. I got a couple packs here of Chrome to open. Maybe we'll get a hit, but I want to open this and just see what cards we get, and maybe we say, is there any value in these, or what do we think of the particular drivers? So
yeah, let's do it.
Take a quick second here. Let me just get in front of a camera. So we got a Grand Prix winner, Max Verstappen. Now there's a ton of these Verstappen Hamilton cards, which, when people buy the break with Red Bull and Mercedes, they're buying a big portion of or percentage of the cards just in the 200 card list, right?
Yeah, actually, good thing you mentioned that. Give me 2 seconds. Let me show you something while we're on the topic of the 70th here. Because I think I have all of them sitting right over here with me. Hold on. And where's my third one? I've got 2 of them here. Because I think people are really missing an opportunity. They get so overlooked, right? And I think that each driver has one of the top 3 guys, which for me is Verstappen, Hamilton, Vettel, like your top 3 like long-term guys. I think each one of them has one that's going to be like, you know what? I don't really want the portrait, whatever. Let me see what I can do. For Max, it's this one, which is the driver of the day, Austria, standing on the car.
That's cool. Yeah.
I like that one. That's the number 1 for me for Max. The Lewis one, I think this is a no-brainer, one of the most underrated cards in the set right here, which is him crowd surfing.
That's a cool card.
In Silverstone with the British flag.
Which, by the way, the popularity in the UK on that card, for the UK driver, I mean, that's just,
it's insane.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and especially this specific card is even cool too because it's got the 70th logo, and this race was from the 70th running of the Grand Prix there. So that's a nice little fun one. And then you also have the Vettel in Singapore, where he's standing on top of the car with the background, the crowd. Amazing photo. So,
that's a good one.
People sleep on those, but that's a good one. Is that Brazil for Max?
This is the Brazil one. All right, the next card we have a Bottas winner.
Azerbaijan.
Yep. All right.
I know too much about these cards.
We all do. There's only 200 of them, right? All right, we got the driver today, Norris, in a refractor. And so if we got the third card in the refractor, that means
you're going to have a numbered card behind.
We're going to have a number card. So let me see if I can. And it's sticking a little bit. Let's
kind of hoping for a Norris Sippy Cup.
Well, we got a 70th, and we got a 70th orange Grosjean. So the Phoenix and a car card. What do you think about these car cards versus the portraits? Because they're also like about a 10th, I think, in terms of the value, right?
It's weird because like this is like I guess what we're gonna call an action shot, but you can't even see the driver. So it's again like there's a lot of things about F1 that have like really really intricate pieces to it when it comes to collecting. But personally, I like the driver cards. There are a couple of like physical. I like the one where Hamilton's crossing the line with the checkered flag. I think it's card number 21 in the set. There's a couple cool ones. Yeah, and I like that Grosjean one just solely because his car's not split into 2 and burning. So it's good to see him doing well. Well, that's pretty good.
So just open up the second pack. We got a portrait Max. Tell you the truth, I'm hoarding these ones. Like I've got dozens of these Portrait Max. I think another big value for people are buying the PSA 10s of the Sapphire in the Chrome. You can get the Sapphire for right now, 800, 900, but they were at 1.1100. And I think when this next season of Drive to Survive comes out and he's racing card number 1, I think you're going to see some upside even on these, in graded. All right, that's so Portrait of Max, the champion. A Yuki Sonoda. So this is somebody who, I'm pretty hot on, from, F2 Future Source. So here's a question for you. Is this his rookie or is the lights out card and what will be the new Topps card coming out his true rookie?
I hope we were going to touch on this because this is again where it's like, how does F1 cross compared to other sports, right? Because the best explanation of this is like, this is Yuki Tsunoda's first Bowman, right? This is it. Like, but, is it really his rookie card? Because, I mean, he's in a Red Bull suit. He didn't drive for Red Bull in F1, So is his rookie going to be the rookie card logo one in the 2021 sets in AlphaTauri? I really don't know how the market's going to react to that. Personally, for me, I go with the first Bowman theory, which I will go with the first card, which will be this one right there. Okay. Earlier is better. He's still in the F1 pipeline there, so it's not like he's in like some like unlicensed league, and it's not like some offshoot set. So I go with this one, but I can see the argument being made for the rookie card logo one, and I think that'll wind up being a nice like secondary option. But I think long term that my bet is on this one. So
yeah, I like this one too, and what I like on this one is you can get the autos, and you can get the autos I think for a undervalued price right now. So if you're hedging bets, and the bets are, look, are you betting on a driver that is racy, meaning not afraid to get in there with elbows out? He clearly is. He had some rookie moments, right?
He spun a couple times.
The guy is fast, and give him another season in that car and understanding the tracks. Like, I'm pretty bullish on Sonoda. So let me go to the next card.
Also a big market.
This is not a bad pack. So speaking of, so we had the Verstappen base portraits. We have, let me hold this better. We have the freshest Sonoda, and now we have the George Russell freshest, which I think this one is about 70%, if you will, of value of the portrait.
I honestly don't know off the top of my head. Because I don't really care for the freshest card, so I don't even really follow them that much. But yeah, I think the Sapphire one goes for like $30. That and the helmet on. So the portrait 2 of the drivers, which are wildly below the regular one. But again, it's another good alternative if you're priced out of like the more expensive ones. I'm happy that we have an alternative because
I agree
that allows more people to collect the stuff. So
I agree.
It's a good thing.
Go to the next one, and we have a purple Botas winner. So we had this card in the previous pack, in
lot them up,
not numbered, and now we got the purple. So purple numbered out of 399. What are your thoughts on Botas?
Interesting. So he's an interesting driver. He's, again, for me, like, I think he's undervalued currently, but I don't think it's like by a significant margin. You look at the amount of F1 winners in the 70 years of this, or 71 years now of the sport. It's not a lot. It's like 122 different people have won an F1 race, and he's won what, 9, 10? That's a lot. That's puts him like top 40 all time, top 35 all time. But we just kind of just shoo him aside as, the guy who's not Hamilton for Mercedes. So, he shouldn't be like a $25 Sapphire image variation. He kind of gets tossed around. He's the cheapest one in the entire set, and the guy's got more race wins than everyone combined, with the exception of your top 3 drivers.
Yeah.
So,
like, to your point, like, he's at the bottom of the list in terms of, the price for the auto, price for the image variation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what will be interesting is some people could play some bets now that he's in driver's seat number 1, with Alfa Romeo. Is he going to be able to prove himself, right? Which is going to be super hard. Super hard.
Yeah.
I agree. But it could be interesting, to see what happens there.
Something to watch. You never know. I mean, we got a whole new set of regulations. So, I mean, anyone could have figured this out. And I think one of the teams that were like really poor last year, I think are going to surprise us with a jump to the midfield. Because I think they might have known. They might have said, you know what? Like, we all know Haas did this.
We all know Haas gave up, right? Like, even day one, they were like, this season doesn't matter. We're focusing on
2022 or bust. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we might be surprised by one or two of the other teams that, might have got a head start on the
I think it's
2022
Albon.
development.
I think it's Ocon and Alonso, like with
They had real
El
pace.
Plan, like
Yeah. They had real pace at the end of the year.
real pace, but like they're good drivers, right? And if you get that car up, which they spent like Haas, they kept saying like, hey, we're putting a lot of effort into the new regulations.
Mm-hmm.
And if it gets up there, like they're going to be a solid mid-pack team that could rise to the top, right? They could be challenging McLaren, and who knows? Like the whole like thought on mid-pack might even go away, maybe with these new regulations.
Yeah.
Everyone probably hopes so.
You never know,
but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, there's like so much to look forward to. So it's going to be exciting year.
I really appreciate your time. Love what you're doing for the collecting community of F1 cards. Your videos are awesome. Everybody should check out the Flying Lap, where you go through the math and all your spreadsheet wizardry that you did, on this. It's super difficult to do.
So archaic.
Well, yeah, but it's helpful, for everybody.
I'm a knowledge guy. I'm not like a video editor. So if anyone out there is looking for some pro bono work they want to do to spice things up, let me know.
Well, thank you so much. And people can find you on Buffs Breaks, right? On Instagram.
Yep, it's at Buffs Breaks.
At Buffs Breaks. Yep. We'll post a link, into the YouTube channel and also on Instagram to promote that. It's awesome to get in somebody and do breaks with somebody that's knowledgeable too, because it's not just about the cards you get. It's also about the education on the cards you're getting, and you definitely can supply that, and you do on those breaks. So again, appreciate the efforts, and thanks so much for your time.
Oh, I would stay longer. Honestly, I could talk about this like literally forever. I told you earlier.
We'll do it. We'll do it again for sure.
Round 2. We'll do it after Bahrain, maybe.